and 11-year-old Sicario.
Jóvenes, ¿cuáles son sus nombres?
Eric y Manuel.
Eric y Manuel, ¿de dónde son originarios?
All right, for those that don't speak the Spanish, I'm gonna lower this. I'm gonna read the subtitles for those that are just listening.
Eric y Manuel, ¿de dónde?
What are your names? Eric and Manuel. Where are you guys from? Reynosa, Tamaulipas. And what do you guys want to do? We're gonna join the Gulf Cartel.
El Cartel del Golfo, ¿no quieres?
The Gulf Cartel, you don't want to study? Nah, that's for little kids. So you don't care about an education? No, nothing. The Network for the Rights of Children in Mexico estimates that over 35,000 children and teens aged 12 to 16 are involved in heinous organized crime groups all over the country. And I'll tell you what made me think about this and what kind of triggered me when I saw this video in the channel that Crash Out sent me to. I thought about Jay when he was talking about his relationship with Chapo's son Edgar that passed away, right? And his idea of Edgar was that Edgar was the one with the most sense, the one with the best head on his shoulders, that he was, as young as he was respected by the older dudes that respected nobody. And he told a story about how one time Edgar came to meet him up somewhere. They ran into each other somewhere, and Edgar had like 40 dudes with him. And he was like, yo, these dudes was young, bro. They was 14, 15 years old. And that just made me think of these kid armies, you know what I'm saying? And how we talk about the cartel workers being disposable, you know, being something that you can, you know, if you're in a hot situation, you send them out there as the bait and you make your slip. You know, they're disposable. They're paper plates. And we also been talking about how these cartel bosses are chomos and PDF files. This is just another level of child abuse. Now we can say, yeah, these kids are poverty stricken and these kids are in the dirt and, you know, they're willing to take their shot. I understand that. But at the end of the day, it's still child abuse. And then you think about that kid I told you that got shot by his friend and left his bait. That kid was getting paid $8. Who knows? $8 Mexican dollars, pesos. So who knows how often he was getting paid that $8 before they, you know, shot him down and left him to the wolves. Didn't leave him there to suffer a quick death. No, left him there to be tortured. 35,000 children and teens aged 12 to 16 are involved in heinous organized crime groups all over the country. So all of you guys who have young children, 9, 10, 11 years old, 12, 13, 14 years old, just think of them walking the streets with an AK-47, walking the streets with an M16, walking the streets with an AR, with an Uzi, with handguns, with knives, putting their lives on the line and being used as chum for somebody else. Youth assassin training camps are dedicated to teaching young recruits how to sell and distribute drugs, along with training on how to torture, dismember, and Pez dispenser their enemies. All right? Push the dome back of their enemies. Shorties. This might not be them, but most of the youngest members usually come from disadvantaged or violent and drug-addicted families. Others are born into the lifestyle. Those not brave enough to witness or partake in the inhumane lessons face deadly consequences. Once we're there, somebody who we were seeing for the first time arrived. He told us, well, you're here. If anyone wants to leave, now's the time. And then he cocked his pistol. The only way you leave here is in a body bag. In 2010, the notorious case of 14-year-old Edgar Jimenez Lugo shined a spotlight on the Mexican cartel's rising trend of recruiting young boys and girls to torturing them alive, right? Edgar Jimenez Lugo was born in 1996 in San Diego, California, the youngest of 5 siblings. His father sold chicken for a living while his mother sold rugs. Shortly after his birth, Edgar tested positive for cocaine in the system. Soon, his parents were arrested and charged. So Shorty was set up for disappointment from the womb, set up for failure. All right. Shortly after his birth, Edgar tested positive for cocaine in the system. Soon, his parents were arrested and charged. Edgar and his siblings had to move in with their grandmother in a village in Morelos, Mexico, where growing up he was mentally, physically, and sexually abused. Set up for disappointment. Had a sister too. His parents seemed like they were the types, same as the young lady that was the victim of Chapo when she was 14 years old. that they were not past negotiating with criminals to groom their children. Edgar and his siblings had to move in with their grandmother in a village in Morelos, Mexico, where growing up he was mentally, physically, and sexually abused. All right, not only by his parents was he set up for disappointment, but by his grandmother as well. At 11 years old, Edgar had gotten in trouble with the law, getting arrested for assault and theft, but because of his age, he was released immediately. Of course he's getting in trouble. What else would you expect from a kid that was set up like that? Because of his age, he was released immediately. Shortly after, one of Edgar's older sisters had introduced him to her new boyfriend, Julio Hernandez Radilla, leader of Cartel del Pacífico, nicknamed El Negro. Right? So mind you, who knows how old this dude is, right? Definitely of age. And who knows how old Edgar's sister was at the time. Because that's her boyfriend she introduced him to. Shortly after, he was 11. So how old is she is the question. One of Edgar's older sisters had introduced him to her new boyfriend, Julio Radilla, El Negro. Hernandez would take Edgar under his wing, teaching him everything to know about torture and unaliving. Another one that probably felt like he was a Casanova and could pull him. Punk. At just 11 years old, Edgar had taken his first life. He was paid $2,500 a week to open the throats and remove the privadas of captured victims. He was eventually nicknamed El Ponchis. I don't know the meaning of Ponchis. If anybody has that insight, let me know, please. He was paid $2,500 a week. That's more than the 8 pesos that buddy that got lit up and left to the enemy got. But this kid has a special skill, you know. He's a little kid. He could probably get places that these soldiers can't. Because they're not asking him to pull no drive-bys right here. They're asking him to open flesh. 11 years old. That's child abuse. Whatever your reasoning, whatever your excuses. In 2010, Edgar posted several videos on YouTube incriminating himself by telling his audience everything he's learned and done from the cartel. The question is, was he clout chasing? Is he too not immune to the clout of, you know, look what I can do. Y'all talk about it, but look what I do. Or was that a cry for help? Him letting the world know, this is what I've done for these people. Maybe not knowing a way out. That his way of ratting is. Let me ask the people in the comments, especially the ones that make excuses for chomos, PDF files, and pick and choose between the cooperators and snitches and rats that they decide, right? The ones that pick and choose which one it's okay for them to snitch and which one it's not okay for them to snitch. I want to ask y'all if an 11, 12-year-old kid putting himself on blast, or if this kid were to call for help to get himself out of this, would he be considered snitching? I want to see what you weirdos got to say. In 2010, Edgar posted several videos of on YouTube incriminating himself by telling his audience everything he's learned and done for the cartel. Videos of him and other cartel members beating 2 men to unaliving had also been trending all over the internet, prompting immediate interest from Mexican authorities. So that boy's even out there putting his work on the screen. That sounds like a kid that's stuck in the clout generation. On December 3rd, 2010, investigators learned that Edgar and his sister were preparing to board a plane flight to San Diego, California. Investigators knew Edgar was a danger to others and detained him and his sister. Reporters interviewed Edgar during his arrest, the 14-year-old revealing disturbing details about his time working under the cartel. Look at that. It's a little baby, man. What is he here, 14? This is his sister. Right here with the green scrunchie in her ponytail. Little ass kid. These little ass kids is out here gang banging. These little ass kids is out here hustling. What's your name? Edgar. Edgar Jimenez Lugo. How old are you? 14 years old. 14, where were you detained? Where did they catch you? The airport. Where were you headed to? San Diego. Who was headed with you? My sister. How old were you when you started executing? 11 years old. Are you the person in the video beating the victim that was tied in the house? Yes. Who gave you orders to beat and execute them? At Negro. Look like somebody slapped up in Negro right here. That's the thing. You get arrested by the police out there. You don't know. Is it the police or is it the enemy or is it both? Is it the same thing? Who knows? He doesn't seem trepidatious to speak quickly, period, with definitive answers. You know what I'm saying? Was you the one on that video beating duty? Yep. Like he wasn't trained to keep his mouth shut. Like he too knew the jig was up. They rugged me, he said. He would get him lit. He would get him high. I don't doubt it. Gas him up. Where did you learn how to execute him? At what age was he giving you rugs? He said since 12. You've been a part of the gang since you were 12? Yeah. Are you guys from the South Pacific Cartel? Yeah. What type of weapon did you carry? What type of weapon did you carry? AK-47 is the tool. And a 45. How much did they pay you? 2,500. Weekly? Yep. In dollars and pesos. Dollars and pesos. Who was paying you? At Negro. And what did Negro convince you, say to you to convince you to start unaliving? He would just rug me. I didn't know what I was doing. What did he rug you with? MJ or Bro Kane? With MJ. Who taught you how to use rugs? At Negro. Are you scared? Are you scared? Nope. Nope. You know what's going to happen? Yeah. You know we're taking you away, prosecuting you on federal charges? Are you aware of this? Yeah. How many did you say you executed? 4. How did you execute them? I knocked their top back. Didn't just knock their top back, knock their top off. A judge in Mexico charged 14-year-old Edgar Jimenez Lugo with homicide, kidnapping, and weapons possession charges, amounting to several decades behind bars. But because of his young age, Edgar was only required to serve 3 years. Upon his release in 2013, he moved to San Antonio, Texas, where he lives freely today. Salute to that kid. I hope that kid is living a good life. I hope he found some way to make something for himself. You know what I'm saying? Other than what was offered to him. What was offered to him was to be a paper plate. What was offered to him was to be a throwaway soldier for greedy men who didn't give a shit about him, where he came from, who he was with, any of it. I hope that kid's living a good life. I'd like to find an update on him. And maybe he don't want to update nobody. Maybe he just want to keep his mouth shut and live. Or maybe he's back in the same shit. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? I'm just hoping, from the hopeful side of me, which is a very tiny place in my soul, but the hopeful side of me says, I hope that kid managed to do something with his life. Whether it be raise children, whatever it is, I just hope he did something with his life. There he is, y'all. Hopefully this kid got something out of life, man, because they had him set up as a throwaway. Paper plate, papa.